What's going on, everyone? Jeremy from the Quartering, and what a hilarious backfire for Disney and Hollywood after peddling, bending the knee, I should say, to China for years. It is now completely backfiring. Now, Mulan is a movie with a gigantic budget, with what I can only assume is the sole target of the Chinese market, given the number of changes, given the number of times they've bent the knee and guzzled down a gallon of Chinese love yogurt. And just to refresh your memories a little bit here, it started out with, well, one of the many things was Mulan movie kiss cut by Disney after China's censors demanded removal. This goes back, when was this exactly? Back in late February. Next month sees the release of Disney's latest live-action remake, Mulan, but the $200 million movie has seen a kiss scene removed after China local executives demanded its censorship. The intimate moment between Mulan and her love interest, Chen. According to The Hollywood Reporter, Disney showed Mulan at a Chinese test screening. Aside from the audience, members of China's local executives viewed the film too. And in the early cut, the kiss scene on a bridge did not go well with authorities. Director Nikki Caro said it was very beautiful, but the China office went, "No, you can't have that. Doesn't feel right to the Chinese people." Well, it's good to have a few random government officials decide what feels good for hundreds of millions of people. And in that end, Disney bowed to China's censorship demand. She added, "So we took it out." Last year, the release of Quentin Tarantino's Once Upon a Time in Hollywood was canceled in China, allegedly over the portrayal of Bruce Lee. However, Chinese cinemas did release the previously banned Spirited Away earlier in 2019. The Oscar-winning Studio Ghibli classic hit cinemas in 2001, but it's finally come out in China. Okay, well, we've already talked about that. Now, obviously, with everything going on, everyone trying to stay healthy, China currently has its 70,000 cinemas closed, which is a crazy number. 70,000 cinemas. I wonder how many are even in the United States. It seems like it would be less than that, but I don't know. I mean, I feel like where I live in Wisconsin, I bet you in Wisconsin there's maybe 100. I don't know. Maybe there's just tons that I don't know about. But nonetheless, after all, China is now the world's second biggest region for the box office after the U.S. Last year, Avengers Endgame became the highest grossing movie of all time with almost $3 billion made worldwide. Part of such a monumental sum was $450 million from China alone. And then we had this. Mulan 2020, the real reason Disney's live-action remake cut out, quote, inappropriate character. Mulan will return to cinemas next month. After 20 years, Disney's original animation was released. However, there have been some changes to the movie, including the omission of one major player. This time around, General Li Shang, Mulan's captain and love interest, won't be making an appearance. In the original, the beloved character, voiced over by James Shigeta, captured the hearts of fans as well as Mulan, forming a bond with her when she was operating with her male alter ego, Ping. While Li won't be the new film, the character's impact is still present. In an interview with Collider, the live-action remake's producer, Jason Reed, opened up on why Disney chose to replace Li. Revealed, they have chosen to divide Li Shang's role between two characters. "We split Li Shang into two characters," he said. "One became Commander Tung, who serves as a surrogate father and mentor, and in the course of the movie, the other is Hong Hui, who Mulan's equal in the squad." Addressing the reasons he limited General Li's part from the movie, he cited modern climate in the post-Me Too era. What a great reason and way to censor your film. And then they also removed the character Mushu, I believe, as well from the film as to not offend anybody. Well, Disney is now being accused of being too white. That's right. Even though the entire cast is headed up by, oh my God, who wrote this? Who wrote this? Oh, it all makes sense. No, it all makes sense now. It all makes sense now. It all makes sense now. This isn't even written by a Chinese citizen or person at all, unless he identifies or they identify as Chinese. I love Mulan since childhood, but the remake is too white behind the camera. In the words of By icon Li Shang, once you find your center, you are sure to win. It's sound advice that Disney should have taken heed of in 2020. When the news broke that my childhood favorite film was getting a live-action treatment with focus on improving it to be more culturally respectful and sensitive, I was overjoyed. Is this person Chinese? I don't know. It doesn't look like it. Maybe? I don't know. I'm just confused. Who will they cast, I thought? How will they treat Shang's widely discussed preferences? Will the costume designer put all the stops, as Ruthie Carter did for Black Panther? I wondered if they would bring back Eddie Murphy to voice Mushu. I dreamed and I planned, and the universe laughed. From its conception, the project's been followed by controversy, delay, and criticism. Finally, it premiered on 10th of March, Finally, it premiered on the 10th of March, but as the cast of Asian excellence lined up on the red carpet for photos and interviews, they were followed by the crew, majority who were unsurprisingly very white. As a person of color, this is incredibly frustrating to see. We were promised that this remake would be the departure from the animated movie's Orientalist roots, and more accurate to origin retelling of the Chinese legend and folk song, The Ballad of Mulan, which this movie is based on. But seeing the whole host of whites, people who prayed on the carpet and enjoying their time in the spotlight made it feel hollow. It was a visual slap in the face, an undeniable message from Disney that the Asian people telling the story on screen were mere puppets on strings with no real control over how their stories are told. That's right, I'm sure the dude or chick who makes $8 an hour holding a boom mic has a lot of control too. Disney said it wants a story to be more authentic. I thought, okay, the original ballad didn't feature a dragon in the musical numbers, but the next thing I hear, the shape-shifting witch is playing the villain. The movie's IMDb page lists 4 screenwriters, all of whom are white, and none of whom have any apparent connection to the Chinese culture or China. You could argue that it is to be expected at this point, that until you realize the original animated 1998 movie had more female Asian writers than the quote-unquote woke remake. Off-color, Disney hired a white director, a white costume designer, 4 white screenwriters, a white composer, a white cinematographer, a white film editor, and a white casting director. Ooh, too many whites. Mulan too white. Imagine thinking this rudimentarily? That can't be a word. Imagine being this dumb. Imagine being this surface value and thinking that the skin color of somebody will have any impact at all on how they hold a camera and press record, or how they set up the craft services table, or how they clean the bathrooms. A highly controversial announcement about the remake was the studio's omission of Fa Mulan's commanding officer and love interest, Li Shang, a character that was split into 2 platonic roles. The reason behind the decision was the Me Too movement, with producer Jason Reed saying, having a commanding officer that is also your love interest was very uncomfortable. We didn't think it would be appropriate. I am disgusted by how a beautiful love story that focused on a woman taking control and allowed her to lead the relationship's development is disregarded as flippant justification for the creative decision made by white people who clearly don't understand the story's nuance. At this point, I've given up. This is no longer my favorite Disney story. It's a white person's chance to flex their creative muscles and cash a Disney check. The worst part is they believe that they did it because they stopped by a museum or two, took an all-expenses-paid trip to China, and what it feels like the bare minimum of research, that they somehow made up for the lack of the lived experience and cultural connection. Well, I don't know about you, but how many robots were on the set of Transformers? How many actual superheroes were on the set of The Avengers? How many ghosts were hired for Ghostbusters? See, I don't understand how anyone could think this dumbly, but they do. And it's so very easy to point out just how absurd it is. Disney hired the best person for the job, and they tried to do the best they could with the on-screen talent, which appears they've done because they have hired their main actress as a Chinese bootlicker. What else do you want? That's where the problem really lies. It ignores the unique perspective that comes with being connected to a culture and the identity in question. Well, maybe if you want to watch a truly Chinese movie, why don't you watch a Chinese movie and not a Disney remake? If you are so concerned with its accuracy and cultural roots, why not give your money to a Chinese director rather than Disney, who's more interested in their sweatshops? Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.